Hey out there, this is Toy Customizer Wakeangel2K1, and today I'm not going to be talking about toys, but rather one of my favorite video game franchises' next entry, Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Is a wildly popular game, and they're finally starting to announce things about it, and with the 2014 release date, it looks like they're going to be hyping it up the same way that they hyped up Brawl for the first Wii. So I'm going to jump on the bandwagon and throw in my 2 cents about how I think the game should come out. We of course have a roster of returning characters from the previous title. So far, of the veterans, this is all that's been announced, but I'm going to proceed forward with this discussion as if everybody from the previous game is going to be returning. Just for the sake of argument right now. So first, let's talk about the new characters that have been announced. Up first is Mega Man, who I feel is long overdue. I was kind of disappointed when he didn't appear in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and quite frankly, he should have been in Super Smash Bros. Melee too. I know he's a Capcom character, and Melee concentrated on Nintendo properties, but come on, the guy's been with Nintendo since 1987 or 1988. He's every bit as old as Samus, Pit, and Link. He really did deserve this place in the game a long time ago. So I'm glad he's here, although it does seem overdue. The other new characters that have been announced so far is the villager from Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing's a really popular game, and I never really thought that it could translate to fighting mechanics, but hey, he's a beloved character, I'm sure, so there he is. And this one absolutely threw me for a loop. The Wii Fit Trainer. Yeah, the avatar that's on the screen for the exercise game Wii Fit. I guess this is a nod to all the casual gamers. Maybe Masahiro Sakurai was just messing with us and said, you know what they would never expect? Well, color me surprised. I seen the gameplay footage and she looks pretty cool. And hey, she's a female character. Anything to add another female character to the roster to bolster up the 2.5 that we had from the previous game. No, 3.5. Yeah. So, of course, the big point of discussion in any Super Smash Bros. Game is who's gonna be in the roster. That's really all the most important part of it. There's other things, but this is really the biggest thing. So let's go through it one franchise at a time so we can organize and I can prevent myself from rambling too much. So let's start with the big one, the Mario franchise. Actually, there's already a whopping 6 characters from Mario in the roster, so I really don't think that we need any more, but there are probably a couple of fan favorites that people would want to see, so I'm going to give them a mention. I've heard a lot of people wanted Waluigi to go with Wario. He's already an assist trophy in Brawl, but I'm sure some people would like to see him as a playable character. Me, I can take him or leave him. Personally, I think if we're going to be incorporating any more Mario characters for the next Smash Brothers, it should be characters from the Mario spin-off franchises, such as the Mario RPG, a character like Gino. I heard a lot of people wanted him for Brawl and he didn't make it. Although I think a character from Paper Mario will be pretty cool too. They could kind of give him a 2D thing to make him match Mr. Game & Watch. Probably someone like Koops from Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, but I'm sure that there'll be a bunch of other characters. Alright, next of Nintendo's big 3 is of course the Legend of Zelda franchise. We already have Link, Toon Link, Zelda who turns into Sheik, and Ganondorf for 4 characters. But I think we can squeeze in a couple more here. Probably the first one that will be on everyone's mind is Toon Zelda. We've seen in the Zelda games that Zelda has been taking on a more active role in those particular titles, even being playable in a couple of them. I think she could have some moves like turning into Tetra or maybe possessing armors the same way she did in the Phantom Hourglass game. That could be a pretty interesting character. But you know who I'd really like to see? Vati. Oh man, I really like this guy's character design. He's really one of the only major Zelda bad guys besides Ganondorf himself. I mean, Skyward Sword sort of introduced Demise, but we see that it's really his malice that kind of possesses those who bear the Triforce of Power or whatever. But yeah, as one of the only other major villains of the Zelda franchise, I think Vaati would be a great character to add to the roster. Especially if you think about it, there's like maybe 4, 5 villains out of 30 in the cast. Like, the Smash Brothers franchise is hurting for villains almost as much as it's hurting for girls. Speaking of which, I think another character that would represent the Legend of Zelda franchise quite well is Impa. Specifically the Skyward Sword incarnation of her. I feel that this very slim, graceful incarnation of Impa would just go zipping all around the screen, and she could be a very cool character to play as. And she could be one of those all-important female characters so that the roster is a little bit more diverse. I mean, I can't be the only one who thinks that this would work. Last of Nintendo's big three is the Metroid franchise, and of course Samus is returning in a slightly more detailed version of her other M suit. Now Samus is really the only major character from her own franchise, at least that I would see fighting in Smash Bros. Brawl. I mean, it's not like we can play as Adam Malkovich or one of the nameless red shirts from the other games, but I still think there's at least a couple of other characters that we can have in this game, such as Dark Samus from the Metroid Prime series. She's similar in frame to Samus, but has different powers, so I can see her having a rather unique moveset. Speaking of the Metroid Prime trilogy, I think Rundus would also be a pretty good character. He was the most developed of the other 3 bounty hunters in that game, actually saving Samus's life twice, and I can see him having some pretty cool moves with his ice powers, especially if they keep his summoning icicles from the ground move, which ultimately led to his demise in the game, but would be really cool if he could still control it. Alright, let's see the breakout character from Smash Bros. Brawl, Pit from Kid Icarus. I mean, when I first saw Pit appearing in Brawl, I was like, holy crap, that's obscure. I mean, the guy hadn't been in a game in over 20 years. But yeah, we have Pit now, and he was a breakout character in Brawl, and I think it was largely due to that game's popularity that they made his DS title, Kid Icarus Uprising. If we're going to introduce any more characters from the Kid Icarus franchise, I think I can think of no one more deserving than Magnus from Kid Icarus Uprising, because, well, he is actually a playable character introduced in that game, and he's pretty cool with that gigantic sword. Okay, so for at least a couple of these franchises, you're going to have to forgive my ignorance. I haven't really played any Donkey Kong games, even though I'm aware of their existence, and from what I understand, they're all pretty awesome. And so far, there's only 2 characters from the Donkey Kong franchise, even though, as a franchise character, he's been around as long as Mario, even going so far as to being his first enemy, before he even met King Koopa. There is a pretty wide variety of characters that you can pick to represent the Donkey Kong franchise besides Donkey and Diddy. Although, I think personally, I'd like to go with King K. Rool, for no other reason than to have another villain for the roster. I don't know, I think he can make the story mode of the next Smash Brothers game a lot more interesting. We have more bad guys forming like a Nintendo Legion of Doom, if you will. I think the Kirby franchise is pretty well represented. I mean, we got King Dedede and Meta Knight. But if we want to add a few more, I think we can upgrade Knuckle Joe from Assist Trophy. That would be pretty cool. Or maybe we can introduce characters from the new games, like that alien dude from Return to Dreamland. Or maybe we can even play around with the style and add the guy from Epic Yarn. Use all those crazy yarn powers in the game. I think that could work. So the Star Fox cast already has Falco and Star Wolf, which are pretty much the only really big action-y guys you would expect from there. I mean, I don't think Slippy or Peppy would be able to hold their own in a bare-knuckle fight. Although, if you're going to add any new characters from Star Fox, it's going to have to be Crystal. Yes, I did pick this picture on purpose. I doubt that we'll see her in this outfit again, but if she's put into the game, I would like to see her with her magic staff. I think we don't have a staff fighter in the Smash Brothers universe yet, and I think that she could really be unique with it. Alright, I guess I gotta talk about this one too. I kinda don't like Pokemon. I'm sorry. I know that's like kinda saying I don't like oxygen, but I really don't like what Pokemon's become. And Pikachu annoys me. I mean, he's kinda turned into Nintendo's version of Bumblebee. You know, from Transformers. If anything from the Pokemon franchise is to be represented, I want freaking Mewtwo to come back. I also want them to drop Jigglypuff because I absolutely hate Jigglypuff. Oh, I wish I did not sound so negative in this part of the video. I also can't really tell you what other new Pokemon I'd like to see. I haven't really played a Pokemon game since Crystal, and I really don't like a lot of the new Pokemon designs. I find them either rehashed or just terrible looking. Lucario looked pretty cool. I like Lucario. I guess maybe Blaziken, whatever the monkey's third evolution is. Garchomp is pretty cool. I don't know, some of them, the ones that are vaguely humanoid. I don't know, if they can make Heracross or Scyther playable, you know, outside of just being items, that would be kind of cool. But you know, I'm just talking about the last vestiges of Pokemon that I still like. Let's move on to the next one before people come to my house and kill me. Alright, as of right now, that is June 13th, I have just gone through all of the confirmed returning franchises for the next Smash Brothers game. But like I said at the beginning, I'm going to proceed as if everybody who was in Brawl will be returning for this new title. So let's continue on with the Ice Climbers. I really can't think of any other members of the Ice Climbers franchise, like maybe a couple of the monsters from the Ice Climber level, like the Polar Bear perhaps, can come in as a playable character, but I can't really think of anyone else. Oh, and by the way, when I said that there's 3.5 female characters for the Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Nana, the female Ice Climber, she's the half a female character. You know, because she's not a character by herself, but she's a girl and she's there. Now is a unique case of Rob. Despite a couple cameo appearances, he's not technically a video game character. He's an NES accessory. Maybe some other NES accessories can be items in the game, like the Power Glove, or because you know we already have the Super Scope and the Zapper. Maybe they can make the Power Glove an accessory, or you know, like the Wii Fit board could be incorporated into the game somehow. You know, give Rob some of his fellow accessories to throw around. Although he is the only one that has a face, so he's probably going to be the only accessory that's a technical character, unless you're going to have that headphone scope thingy float around. Like maybe put it on Master Head. Master Head wearing the NES scope. So right now, Pikmin is only represented by one character, Olimar. There are some other characters from the Pikmin cast, notably the President and Olimar's partner Louie, although I can't really think of any ways to make these characters unique. Like, I can't really think of a way to introduce them without just being Olimar clones. I don't know, maybe Olimar's fine for representing his franchise. And then again, I'm sure people who are big Pikmin fans will be able to tell me 1,000 ways that Louie could be made unique from him. Okay, Captain Falcon. Everyone's favorite racing mercenary is the only representative of the FZero franchise, but I think that's kind of a missed opportunity, because despite the fact that as a racing game that's pretty light on plot, there is a huge cast of very interesting characters. I mean, let's take a quick look at just a few of them I found from a quick Google search, mostly characters from FZero GX on the GameCube, and a lot of them are kind of standard looking, but others are crazy. Like you got the Black Shadow, looks like a big crazy bull man, and this monkey dude, and And what is this? Some kind of plant taxi driver guy? That's awesome! Of course, if any of them are probably going to be in the next Smash Bros. Game, I think the one with the highest probability is Samurai Goro, since he's already an assist trophy and is sort of already listed as Captain Falcon's nemesis or rival in the FZero franchise. So it'll probably be Samurai Goro, but it's fun to think. I'm gonna confess, Fire Emblem is another one of those games that I know next to nothing about. So forgive me if I can't really elaborate in this franchise anymore. I know Fire Emblem Awakening came out recently, and I'm sure there are tons of characters in that game that would be great for Smash Brothers. So yeah, any of those. Pick your favorites and mention them in the comments. Tell me which ones you think will be cool. But yeah, I really have no opinions on Fire Emblem. But I got nothing against Marv. You know what? I just don't play a lot of RPGs, period, because I have no first-hand experience with Earthbound either. And I have a feeling that this is going to get a lot of hardcore gamers really coming down on me, because this is some kind of really big famous franchise that everybody should have played. Remember, I didn't grow up with an SNES, I grew up with a Genesis. This game was never on my radar as a kid, and it's just something that I respect on an academic level. So I'm sure there's lots of great characters from Earthbound that could be added, besides just Ness and Lucas, but I can't really name any of them. For the sake of completion, I'm going to mention Mr. Game & Watch, but he's from those LCD games. I really don't think that there's another character from those LCD games that you can represent, so Game & Watch is just another one of those sole faces of the franchise, like the Ice Climbers. I really can't think of anything else you would put to represent the Game & Watch franchise besides him. Alright, so we're finally up to just the third-party characters. We remember who they were. They were Snake from Konami and Sonic from Sega. So who will we get to represent Metal Gear besides Snake? Well, Metal Gear is another one of those franchises that I have very little first-hand experience with. Maybe they could find a way to make Otacon playable. I know he's usually sit in the command center and talk through the walkie-talkie, but it would be kind of funny to see that guy trying to fight. It would just be hilarious just to see Otacon fight. The other guy would be Raiden, or Raiden, however the heck you pronounce it, from Metal Gear Solid 2, and the new thing that came out where he can slash the crap out of everything that exists because he's a cyborg that can do that. Although I'm not sure that this version will be likely because he never actually appeared in a Nintendo console. He's just he's been on like the PlayStation games. But nice to think, right? And now we reach my personal favorite, Sonic. I could make an entire video about 2 or 3 hours long based on this franchise alone, but I'm going to limit myself to the bare minimum. I mean, I can go on and on about how just about any character from Sonic's franchise would be worthy of being in the game. Like, I could say how funny it would be to see Amy Rose fighting with her hammer, or how Knuckles could be another one of those heavy hitters with a sticking to the wall move that could make it really hard to knock him down. But I'm going to try and limit it to the ones that will probably be the most likely to actually be in the game, besides Shadow the Hedgehog, who's already an assist trophy. I like to go with Metal Sonic, one of the more popular villains. Remember what I said, villains are rare in the Smash Brothers games, so seeing Metal Sonic would be able to move more or less like Sonic, but probably have different moves. Probably more long-range attacks with his lightning. That could be very interesting. Or maybe Dr. Eggman. He could be a more big, heavy brawler to represent the Sonic franchise. Perhaps he can even have access to his technology, like he could have a final smash that involves the Death Egg robot, or maybe he'd use some kind of cybernetic enhancement to actually do the regular fighting, like when he had those crazy tennis racket spouting things in the Sonic Tennis game. Yeah, so I know you guys are probably expecting me to go on and on and on about this, but I'm going to cut myself short because I want to talk about something more. Okay, so let's finish this up with some of my picks for what would be good third-party characters to add to the Smash Bros. Roster. Now, there are going to be a couple of ground rules. First of all, they must have been in a game that was released on a Nintendo console. So I can't pick a character like Sly Cooper or Ristar or Vector Man or something like that. And second of all, they have to be iconic or nostalgic in some way. So it can't be a character from like a brand new franchise like Mighty Flip Champs or something like that. Even if it's a game that's really fun and has a huge following, it hasn't earned any kind of tenure, for lack of a better word. I just don't think that it would really have much of a place in Smash Brothers, if for no other reason than a new character is just something that people wouldn't recognize that much. So let's go on with my picks. My first choice is Simon Belmont from the Castlevania franchise. Castlevania is just one of the classic games from the NES. He's from around the same time as Metroid and Mega Man and all those others. And I really think that Simon Belmont deserves a place on the roster. Especially since we have Pit and now Mega Man joining. Putting Simon Belmont in would mean that we can complete Team N from the Captain N cartoon. In fact, just as a goof, I think one of his character recolors, like for when the alternate skins and stuff, should resemble the goofy look that he had in the Captain N cartoon. Just for laughs. My next choice is Earthworm Jim. There are not many characters that embody 90s aesthetics quite as well as Earthworm Jim does. I mean, with the crazy gun fetishism, the huge over-muscled body, the cyborgness nature. Plus, that he's an earthworm wearing a cybernetic suit. What more could you possibly want? It's been a long time since we've seen Earthworm Jim in a video game, too. And I'm thinking that in the same way that Pit appearing in Brawl made a new Kid Icarus game come out, maybe if Earthworm Jim were to appear in the next Smash Brothers, we get a new Earthworm Jim. Because Earthworm Jim's cool. Up next, Bomberman. Just Bomberman. He's another one of those classic characters that, although not technically produced by Nintendo, has been making games for Nintendo consoles since the late 1980s, and he has this really cute, simple aesthetic. Plus, lots of people would recognize him because the Bomberman games are very popular, and I think that he deserves a spot just as much as anyone else. So yeah, Bomberman is my third pick. Up next, Shantae. Now, I didn't play the original Shantae on the Game Boy Color, but I did play Risty's Revenge on DSiWare, and it was a great game. It's another one of those Metroidvania-style games, but it has really cute graphics, the characters are all really likable and memorable, and it has this great sense of humor about it that just makes it a fantastic game. I'm waiting for the next two parts of her game to come out, because it was supposed to be a 3-parter, although there's been quite a while since we've seen it. I hope Way Forward hasn't canceled them, because I'm really looking forward. So yeah, Risty's Revenge was a really fun game, and I really think that Shantae deserves a slot in Smash Brothers. Rayman. This guy is cool looking. I played only the demo of the Rayman game for the Game Boy, the 3DS that is, but I know Rayman's been around for quite a while, and this character design is just crazy with the floating head and the hands and legs not attached to the torso. I would just love to see this guy moving around and fighting with the Smash Brothers characters. I mean, this guy gets in almost entirely based on his character design. I just think I want to see this animated in Smash Brothers. The Prince of Persia. Yeah, the Prince of Persia. I really, really like the Sands of Time trilogy for the GameCube, although it was a multi-platform game. And the Wii version of the Forgotten Sands was awesome. Not to mention that he's one of the few video game characters that was able to make a movie, and the movie was actually quite good. Usually video game licensed movies are terrible, but the Prince of Persia movie was pretty good. And let's not forget, the Prince of Persia is probably the character that made parkour popular in video games, for better or for worse, but I really feel like it was still cool back when he did it, and I think he would be really cool in Smash Brothers. And my final pick is Knights. Another one of Sega's mascots. He's only really had 2 games: the original Sega Saturn Knights and the Journey of Dreams game on the Wii. But he's another really great iconic 90s character, and he actually has design elements similar to Rayman, with the head and hands not really being attached to his body. I think that he could be a really cool addition to the Smash Brothers franchise as well. He's just a really great character, and he's my final pick for the third-party characters on Smash Brothers. Okay, so this has been one of my longer videos. It's about something I'm very passionate about, though, and I hope you've sat all the way through it. This is Toy Customizer Wakeangel2K1, talking about Super Smash Brothers, the video game franchise that I love. And I'm signing out. And let me know if you share any of my opinions in the comment section below, or if you have any other picks for characters that you would like to share. I'd actually be interested in hearing about it. Alright, bye bye.